And what is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Pattison Sports Show. I'm your host, James Scorza, here alongside the group of companions on this very important Saturday, alongside Joey Marks and the man himself, Mitch Kofsky, on this very important Saturday. Gentlemen, good morning and happy early New Year to end the 2024 year off right.
Yeah, good morning, Philadelphia. Happy holidays and a balmy 20 degrees with a couple of snow flurries. Feels like Christmas time in South Philadelphia. Let's say good morning to the man, the myth, the legend, Mitch Kofsky. Good
Yes,
morning, Mitch.
sir, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Had a nice breakfast. Got a couple thumbnails done already. Let's just get it started, man.
Yeah, for sure. And we always check out our topics of the day. So it's going to be a year in the review, like always we do at the end of New Year's and all that. And I was going to say Festivus because I'm a big Seinfeld fan, but I mean, I got a lot of problems with the other team that we could talk about and all that. Eagles and Steelers review, and then coming up, a preview of the NFC East could be a championship could be crowned this weekend. So, Joe, we got a lot to get to on this very packed full Saturday morning. So, simply put, where do we begin?
The Festivus for the rest of us, James. The Festivus for the rest of us.
I got hearing of the grievances about that too later on, and I wonder who's going to be too.
So we're going to start with breaking down a little bit of the game against the Steelers. This game for me, what was a big game, not just because of, the Keystone clash between the Steelers and the Eagles, but because of where both teams are in their respective conferences. This was a game in my mind because of how tough the Steelers are. This was going to basically test metal of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to start with you, Mitch. What were your big takeaways from the Pittsburgh Steelers game?
My biggest takeaway, it has to be Jalen Hurts through the air, man. Because, like I said on Fly Like an Eagle podcast on Steampunk Entertainment 2 weeks ago, I said that Jalen Hurts was going to go through the air because when you're going up against T.J. Watt and company for Saquon Barkley, I'm not really liking those odds, even though Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the game right now. He did not play the whole entire game. Jalen Hurts stayed in the pocket. He did his thing, and look, he almost hit 300 yards passing, and it shut the doubters up. So that's my biggest takeaway right there.
James, what was your biggest takeaway of the Steelers game?
For me, I think it was I don't I talked about it a couple weeks ago, obviously, but this defense once again, man.
Yeah.
I'm just so intrigued about it, man. To tell you honestly, I'm just so like the thing that I'm really happy about more than anything is that like Vic Fangio is having that feel that I had. Obviously, I wasn't born yet with the Buddy Ryan feel and the Bud Carson feel, and also the Jim Johnson feel. Obviously, we could talk about that for years, and it's just that like like I didn't think Russell Wilson was going to be like going to have himself a game against this defense because like he beat a couple bad teams here and there,
Yeah.
but like keeping them in check and also the end of the game, obviously that 10-minute, 29-minute, 29-second drive that didn't give the ball back to him at all was just outstanding by the Eagles. I mean, if you're going to win Super Bowls like that, that's how you do it, man.
So, one of my biggest takeaways, I mean, you brought it up, but like the time management of the game, like from kickoff to the end of the game, it
Yeah.
felt like the Eagles always had control
Right.
of the game. And, I got to applaud not only Jalen Hurts, not only the defense, but, pretty much the coaching of the way that they got those players prepared for what they were going to do. And,
Mm-hmm.
It's no small feat to have a 10-minute, 29-second drive to literally bleed out the rest of the game. I mean, that's almost unheard of in this day and age. And so for me, it's the coaching. It's how these guys week in and week out, we keep saying that I think in sports media right now in Philadelphia, we're trying to nitpick with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're trying to say, okay, they're not doing this, so therefore That's what they do. That's what they work on. That's what they improve on.
Right.
So give Saquon less touches. Okay, they gave him a little less touches, and Jalen Hurts burns the team through the air.
Yep.
It did help, and I'm not making excuses, but it did help that George Pickens wasn't in the game. That helped the Eagles, but needless to say, the Eagles' offense was clicking. I mean, and no one is a bigger Jalen Hurts fan than me. And this is a guy that I loved how he started the press conference. That's what you guys wanted to see. Like,
Yeah.
no more questions about my skill set. I can't throw the ball deep, threw it deep. Can't throw it enough, threw it more. Can't be a leader on the field, done that.
Y-
Not a winner, not a franchise quarterback. Yeah, proved that wrong.
You know
But
what's funny, Joe? I'm sorry to interrupt.
how many more things does this guy need to prove?
You know what's funny, Joe? I mean, they always say the quietest person always has like the biggest the biggest flaw. I mean, not the biggest flaw, but the quietest person that says like thinks like the game more and more, and also like is a smarter person because he's quiet. It's the same kind of scenario here for Jalen Hurts. I mean, like when he's like when he trolls you, like he trolls you like in a good way, like he did with Scott Van Pelt a few weeks ago against Washington, actually. But the one thing I like about Hurts too is that like when it comes down to like the game itself, I mean, look, he can be like I wouldn't say boring at the press conference, but like if he wins games for us, man, I'm all for it, man. And also, we're checking out the comments as well. Philly halftime checks in once again and says, "What is up, everybody? What's going on, my man? How you doing?" Nick checks in and says, "Good morning, fellas," and also Chad checks in once again, says, "What's up, fellas?" as well. So a lot of comments on this very important Saturday. But back to your point, Joe.
Good morning to everyone. So I want to dive in a little bit more about Jalen Hurts, because the idea that his criticisms throughout the course of the season, and you're right, James, the quieter one sometimes is the more dangerous one because
That's what I
you
was
never
sticking
know
to. Yeah, I couldn't
what
get it out.
the guy that you don't know what he's processing.
Yep.
He's just bound to kind of just sit back and see things from a long range perspective.
Right.
Mitch, you brought up about your biggest takeaways was Jalen Hurts this past weekend. My question to you is: has Jalen Hurts proven to you that every criticism that he gets faced with is unfounded?
It's just funny to me that how much criticism this guy gets day in and day out. It's just astronomical. It's just, I can't even pronounce that word, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's just
Yeah.
like so big. It's every.
Astronomical.
Astronomical. Yeah.
Thank you. But
Yeah,
it's
you
just
got
like day in and day out, and he just keeps on proving the doubters wrong. And honestly, guys, I was a doubter at first. I did not want him in the beginning. I did
Right.
not, being honest. He made me eat my words, and I made a video back then. It was just like Jalen Hurts proved me wrong, and of course, that's one of my highest viewed videos. It's like, yeah, he made me eat my words, but I'm still not the biggest Jalen Hurts guy, but I love what he's doing on the field. I love what he's doing on the field.
This is what I would say, to any of the people that are still on the fence with Jalen Hurts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you win a Super Bowl, Mitch? How do you raise that Lombardi trophy?
Defense.
Well, not necessarily, but winning the Super Bowl is how you raise that Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is a proven winner.
Yes.
Look at his record. He's an over 80% winning percentage as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's no small feat. Okay.
Right.
So this is a guy who's a winner. I don't care for all those people who wanted, well, who's he played? Like the tomato can kind of teams. Like, no. He's beaten Lamar Jackson. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes. He's beaten Joe Burrow. He's beaten Josh Allen. He's beaten every quarterback that you have sat in front of him and said, those guys are better than you. And they're more flashier than you. And they're more entertaining the youth. Jalen doesn't have to be like, are you entertained? He doesn't have to be that guy. He
Right.
could be the guy that just when the final whistle blows, his team is on top.
Yeah.
And from college to high school, now to the pros, the guy is a proven winner. And if you want to raise a Lombardi trophy, does it matter if it's a guy that's boring as hell as long as he wins the game? No. In my opinion, no. And that's one of the reasons why I think having an addition like Saquon Barkley, let Saquon and AJ take the spotlight. Let them, have
definitely.
that. And Jalen will just sit there and just go with his arms folded and go, yeah, I have a ring. Like that's all my comment will be is I have a ring. Thank you. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't need to be the flashiest as long as he's the guy that gets it done.
Right.
Yeah.
And to piggyback what you said about that, and you nailed it right on the head, Joe, about that too. The one thing I took out of that game on Sunday, was that it was just the first time we ever beat a Russell Wilson. I mean, it felt pretty good to say the least, because like after all these years we was with Seattle, we never could have beat them. I mean, it felt good, and obviously, like the thing, even the game, even like when they had like that flea flicker, I didn't expect them to go down the field and score. I mean, they actually kept them in check after that too. I mean, usually a flea flicker half the time, if it's a deep ball, I mean that's usually a touchdown. I mean, we've seen it before with either Foles and Donovan back in the day and all that other stuff. So yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we kept them in check and all that. As we check out the comments once again, it says, "Hello, fellas. Is Wesley checking in, enjoying the stream? MK is phenomenal." And I guess he's talking about you, Mitch.
Yeah, that's my guy Wesley, man. A very big supporter of mine. But Wesley, do me a favor. Share this out on Twitter and tag my guys in it. This guy is great on Twitter. He'll share it out. He'll tag everybody.
Cool.
So really appreciate that, Wesley.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. And also, Chad checks in. Deontay Johnson could be a Steeler again. That could be interesting.
He is a Steelers fan. Sorry, Chad.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I'm sorry for your loss on Saturday, but
all is welcome.
All is welcome. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I know.
But here's the thing with Russell Wilson. Now I'm going to name drop somebody, and his ears are going to be burning, and I apologize in advance. But Al Safiri, who is still a good friend of the show, and we wish him happy holidays and everything like that. He wasn't always a big Jalen Hurts supporter. In fact, a couple years ago, he had been on our show and said that he would want to see Russell Wilson be traded for Jalen Hurts. This was when Russell was still with Seattle. And I told him he was crazy because I think Russell's cooked. And when he was in Denver, he proved me right. And when Russell has weapons, he's not so cooked. But he needs to have the sum of all his parts. He's not, he doesn't make the players around him better. He's better because of the players around him. That's what the difference is. And I think Jalen Hurts is kind of a product in both senses. Jalen proved before AJ got here that he could still be a winner because in his first year, he took the Eagles to the playoffs. Yeah, it was a first-round exit, but he still did it. And that was without AJ. That was without Saquon. So all these people that are saying it's the sum of the parts around Jalen, it just makes Jalen good. That's not always been the case. Jalen has made his bones about just being an effective quarterback when it matters most, just winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been the best quarterback for Al Davis. Win, baby, win. That's all Jalen does.
Yep.
So to move back onto the Pittsburgh and even Chad, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, maybe you can chime in with this. Give me your MVP of Sunday's game. Mitch, I'm going to start with you.
My MVP of Sunday's game, I really want to jump off the Jalen Hurts bandwagon, but I'm going with Jalen Hurts again, dude. Jalen Hurts, that was his best game of the season. bar
It
none.
was. Sure
Best
was.
game of the season. I just have one question though. Does it bother you guys that he holds on to the ball too long? Like, does that bother you at
Yeah.
all, or is it just like, let's move on?
I,
Um,
I'm
I'll
not.
let you. I'll let you answer that, Joe.
I'm not bothered by. I mean, here's the thing: is
Yep.
it's not Donovan McNabb and 15.8 seconds the way he did it in Dallas or whatnot years ago.
Good point.
Like
Right.
it's not that, but
Right.
like 3 to 4 seconds as opposed to 2.8. The average release time for a quarterback in NFL right now per after snap is 2.8 seconds, I believe. And so like that's the average. He's holding it at a 4. I think it's a haggle, especially when this is what disappointed me against the Panthers game
Yeah.
is that the Panthers defensive line is trash. I'm sorry, they are, but they're trash.
Yeah.
And they got 4 sacks on this offensive line. People who say, well, it's the quarterback's fault. No, 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 no. It's the job of the offensive line to keep the quarterback clean for however long it is. That's why I bring up the Donovan 15 seconds because that offensive line kept blocking. He didn't get sacked on the play.
Yeah.
He actually got the ball off. So, like, that's the thing is that's the extreme, but 4 seconds is not unheard of for an offensive line, especially an offensive line with the caliber that the Eagles have, to be able to hold back average or below average defensive linemen. Now, when you look at like someone like TJ Watt, that's not a below average or average defensive lineman, but the Eagles
No.
still did a really good job of keeping him in check. And no, I'm not. I get it, but with RPOs, the quarterback's going to hold the ball longer because he's got to wait for the play to progress.
Yeah.
And people who are going to sit and say, "Well, the RPO play scheme is garbage."
Yeah.
It really isn't because
It's really not.
because here's the thing: for all the people that are Saquon Barkley lovers, that
Mhm.
RPO game is what frees up some of those big holes
It
because
does.
the defense falls for whether Jalen's going to take it or whether it's going to be a quick pass. So those are what it's not just one part of that RPO that becomes effective. It's if one is effective, all of them become effective. And no, I don't see that as a problem. Now look, if it gets egregious and he starts holding the ball for 6 or 7 seconds, I think he's waiting for something that's not going to progress. I think he's got to move through his progressions a little faster. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's not something he can't improve on. But we all have to kind of keep in mind this is still a young quarterback. This is
Yeah.
not. I know people are going to be like, he's been in the league 4 or 5 years. Yeah, so is Joe Burrow, and so is Tua, and so is a lot of other guys. But guys like Josh Allen that are lighting up the stat sheet now have been in the league far longer than Jalen Hurts, but Josh Allen has had more incomplete years than he has complete years like this year.
Yeah.
So I am not willing to sit there and go, oh well, Allen is a superior quarterback. Yes, he is
For
this
this,
year. Not career wise.
yeah,
Not career wise in Jalen Hurts' perspective.
yeah.
James, who was your MVP of last week's game?
I mean, since you're talking about Jalen Hurts, I mean, I guess it's just gonna be that's I gotta go with. I mean, it's like I mean, like even Mitch alluded to it. It was probably one of the best games he had all season. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. And one thing I was really intrigued about in that game was that, like, that was the Jalen Hurts game that I was waiting for. Like, just like finally, like have like that passer rating look very well. Obviously, that the conversation that was all week long with AJ and Jalen, and it just shut the doubters up like without even blinking. So I got to go with Hurts again.
And I love Jalen. But I think it's low hanging fruit for me to go completely across the board and say my MVP of the game is Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to go a different route that's going to probably surprise everyone. I'm going to go Zach Bond
Ooh,
because
Okay.
this is a guy who had a lot of tackles in last week's game. He shut down Najee Harris and the running game for the Steelers.
good point.
With George Pickens out, that Steelers team was leaning on the running game, and Zach Bond was all over those running backs. Anytime a running back got the ball, it was like Zach Bond was not very far behind. And that guy, listen, I will campaign outside of NovaCare because it's just down the street from me. That Zach Bond needs to be re-signed by Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
And like that needs
Good
to
point.
happen. Do not let my linebackers go.
Yeah, and also
Lengthen the linebackers.
Nolan Smith had himself a good game on
Yeah.
Sunday
Yeah.
too. So that was good to see that Georgia Bulldog too.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the other thing. If you want to get a Zach Bond jersey or N'Kobe Dean or Nolan Smith or even a Jalen Hurts jersey, we have a great sponsor at Rally House. James, why don't you tell them more about it?
Yeah, Joe. Today's show is also sponsored. Today's show is sponsored by our friends over at Rally House, like Joey brought up. Listen up, Eagles fans. Rally House is the #1 place to go for all your Eagles merchandise this season, from jerseys to hats. Don't worry, they got you covered just in time for game day. This is something now you'll mostly enjoy, and now you can be now you can score your pride, Eagles pride this season, with and be the envy of friends and viewers alike. Like always, you can scan that QR code at the bottom right of your screen, or the middle of the screen rather, and score right now big with rallyhouse.com. That's at rallyhouse.com, proud sponsors of our very good show. And tell them that the boys over at Pattison and everybody else has sent you as well.
So here's my question. And this has been a question that has been on the tips of sports commentators' mouths for the last 2-3 weeks. Are the Philadelphia Eagles the best team in the NFL right now? Mitch, I'll start with you.
They're up there, but I might have to go with Buffalo right now. I might have to go with Buffalo as the best team, but the Philadelphia Eagles are right up there. I think there'll be like 2 or 3, depending on where you rank the Detroit Lions, even though they're losing players left and right. I'll go
Right.
top 3.
James, do you think that the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's going to be a good. I think the one thing I really am the one thing that really surprises me more than anything is, like even Mitch alluded to again, is that Detroit losing a lot of players left and right. I mean, that's going to come back and bite them. And it could be like Minnesota, like maybe like right behind them. But right now, I think the Eagles are like the top team in the. I think right now, I mean, Josh Allen's having himself a great year. I'm not taking anything away from that, but them being the best team in the end around the NFL, I gotta say right now, I think they're probably the best team.
You know, I have to say, without sounding like I have my green colored glasses on, this is
As do
why
I.
right. This is one of the reasons why I feel like the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now.
Agreed.
Is that the Buffalo Bills have proven that they are vulnerable, because they have lost, and they have lost to teams that in some ways are more inferior to them. Detroit has not lost, but because they lost to Buffalo, but they almost lost to the Packers, and that's not a team that they should lose to, and they didn't, but they almost did. They almost lost that game if it wasn't for Dan Campbell roll of the dice. Like that. That's the difference. With Buffalo, and Detroit, okay, I could see the argument that they're the best team in the NFL. There is a team, however, that I feel like I am still leery about, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs,
Yep.
because they are the team that's not being talked about.
Right.
And they are that like silent assassin that's just waiting in the shadows to just annihilate people in the playoffs. And that terrifies me because Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to have again, it goes back to what I said about Jalen Hurts. Patrick Mahomes is more of an entertainer, but he's also a winner. He's also a proven winner. So, like,
Mhm.
this is a guy that, in my mind, has our number in some
Mhm.
ways. I know we've beaten him in the regular season, but we have not yet beaten him in the playoffs. And that's where it matters the most. I I hope to see, because I think it would be a much more entertaining game, but I hope to see Buffalo in the Super Bowl. If
Mhm.
we get there, like I think that'll be a better Super Bowl because the fan bases will go bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh my
Uh,
god, yeah.
New Orleans will explode. They will need a new roof for the dome down there. Uh, Again. So like that's the thing. But with the Kansas City Chiefs, let's not forget they're 13-1. Like
Yes.
they have the best record in
True.
the NFL. So like my feeling is this: until they get knocked off their high horse, I have to go, and they're the champs. So they're 13-1, and they're the two-time champs. So I have to go Kansas City, even though I don't want to. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to, not because I don't like Andy or Patrick. It's just I don't want to because they're the monkey on our back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the new Patriots of this league. Like them or hate them, they're the new Patriots. Sorry, Andy, you're not a Belichick. You're a much better looking gentleman than that. But
Uh,
you're the new Bill Belichick in the AFC because everyone's got to go through Kansas City.
And
So yeah,
to allude to your point, Joe, obviously, and the thing about with Kansas City too is that like they keep on winning games and all that, but I'm thinking like kind of like how we had last year during that 10-1 start, and obviously they
yeah,
collapsed and all that. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to fall, but they still find ways to win games. It's like
yeah,
it's just like how can we stop them? Like I
yeah.
mean, it's like it's not like I mean, look, they have a great team and all that, but it's just I mean, one of these games something's got to give. I mean, right?
You would think
Yeah,
and
you
like
know.
that's the thing is when we had that 11 games set last year. What did we all say during those wins? We were like, okay, we won, but it wasn't really not like I wasn't comfortable with it. Like
yeah.
how did we even win? Like how did we do that? And
Yeah, I mean
so
it's just like it's like every week. I mean, if you're a Chiefs
yeah,
fan, I mean probably down here down 10th Street, like down at Big Charlie's, are like we're gonna like how I mean I'm gonna probably ask one of my friends that I know down. I'm gonna say like. How do you
are
guys
you
get
guys
by with these
comfortable?
wins all the time? I
Well,
mean, we lost 10 and like that 10-1 streak, and we collapsed like that. And you guys are not collapsing anytime soon. I mean, it might be the coach, it might be Patrick Mahomes. I don't know who it is, but it's just it's unfallible, man.
Well, I mean, you got to ask that fan whether or not like they're
Yeah,
comfortable with these wins,
right,
because I'm
right.
sure each and every win is a little more uncomfortable than the next.
Yeah.
But to let's forge forward and focus on something that we can control versus AFC and NFC.
Mhm.
Let's focus on the NFC. Okay, so now with Detroit losing to Buffalo, and the path to the number one seed becomes a little more possible. So my question is, Mitch, I'll start with you. How important is it for the Philadelphia Eagles to get that number one seed in the NFC?
It's the most important thing for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Because
Mhm.
when you have a running back named Saquon Barkley, and you saw last game he got kind of banged up, that number one seed, you get the home field advantage, you get a bye week, and you get everything that you need to make sure Saquon Barkley is safe and healthy. So for
Mhm.
me, that's the number one thing for me. We got to get the number one seed. We have to for Saquon Barkley's sake.
Yeah, James, what do you think? Is the number one seed a must get?
Oh yeah, I completely agree with Mitch is saying on this one. I mean, the one thing and the one thing I love about this too, especially with that number one seed in the bye, you don't have to play. You can play less game. You'll play one less game than you do like if it's the 2 seed. So I think that's the one thing I take out of it too. And also, like you said, Saquon being banged up, that's a good reminder to get that number 1 seed because you can rest your guys for a week and get them ready for that divisional round. So that could be key too. But right now, I think if the Eagles can get that number 1 seed, it could be it could be very good for the Eagles to not play 3 games instead of playing 3 games. They'll be playing 2, and I think that's going to be the biggest key too to get that number 1 seed too.
Yeah, and so here's the thing: is for me, there was
and Steelers by the lake checks in against us. Protect Saquon at all costs. Absolutely, you're absolutely right, brother.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit in a minute. So here's where I'm at. So we had the early bye. Our goal is to make it to the Super Bowl, obviously. Like any team that's goal is not, you shouldn't be lining up on Sunday. But
Right.
so if the Eagles were to make it to the Super Bowl, and not get that first seed, they'd be playing 16 straight weeks. That is that's almost crazy to even think of. And we talk about the Lions and how their players are dropping like flies. I think for them, holding on to that number 1 seed is going to be difficult because you don't know what guys you're signing off the street just to have bodies. But they know that if they don't get that number 1 seed, they're dealing with a similar situation where they could not 16 straight weeks, but like a longer stretch of being able to not get these guys back that are hurt. Because the ultimate goal is for any team to get to the Super Bowl. And if that minimizes Detroit's chances to get to the Super Bowl, that's going to have
an advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be to our advantage. So my feeling is the number 1 seed's the most important thing because of that 16 straight weeks of we just need to take a breath. Come up for air.
Definitely.
So maybe not necessarily to like lick our wounds, but just come up for air. Speaking of coming up for air, Saquon Barkley hasn't come up for air for quite some time this whole season. This is a guy who's now the leading rusher in franchise history for the Philadelphia Eagles in a single season. But now he's closing in on Eric Dickerson's record. Now, it's still ways away, but it's looking more and more like this guy will have to possibly play all 3 games in order to capture that Eric Dickerson record. So I'm going to ask you, Mitch, is it important to make history if you're Saquon Barkley or the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm going to say no for Saquon Barkley's sake because he's more about the team than his own personal record. Because you've seen time again when Nick Sirianni is like, Saquon, go in, you're about to break this record, you're about to break that. But then he's like, no, let me rest, like Kenny Gainwell, who's actually been playing very, very well, might I add. He's been playing decent for his season so far. He's like, let him get some yards. Let the other guys get some playing time in there. I need a rest for next week. So for me, he's more about the team than himself, which I love tremendously. So I think for him, it's just health over records.
James, I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point by you, Mitch. I think the one thing with Saquon, too, is that, I mean, I don't think he could break. I mean, if he had like one more game left, maybe. Excuse me. If he had one more game left, I think he could probably break that record, but I think it'll be too close to comfort, gonna admit. I even like Nick brought up, he says, I don't think he could reach that record, unfortunately. I feel the same way, honestly, because I think it's gonna be like, I mean, if you have to break the record, you probably have to get the ball like a boatload of times to get that record. So I would expect the same thing, but yeah, I mean, if he doesn't break the record, I don't think he's like gonna be annoyed that he didn't break the record. Because I remember one time during the season, Sirianni asked him like, "You're like gonna break a record here," and he says, "You know what? Let me. I feel like I'd rather like rest like for the next week instead of breaking another record." So he's not too worried about it. So we shouldn't be worried about it too.
All right, so this is where I am going to disagree with the both of you, and this is why I say this.
Go for
Okay.
it. Go for it. I'm
All right,
here for it.
fire away.
So Eric Dickerson's record has been around for like the last 40 years.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
right,
So
absolutely.
here's my thing is that the Super Bowl, the health, Saquon, all of it. You guys all make valid points. Here's
Hmm.
where I kind of go off that beaten path. History like this does not come around very often. And even when Jamal Lewis was possibly closing in on this a while ago when he was with the Ravens, I even stopped and watched because it was
Hmm.
history being made. So for me, Saquon breaking Dickerson's record doesn't just matter about, and it's not like he needs 200 yards for the next 3 games. So it's not
Hmm.
like you're working him harder than he's capable of doing. He
Right.
needs, I think, an average of 133 yards per game.
Yeah.
So that's not unheard of. And look, Saquon knows if I break 2 runs, I'm probably going to be okay for a game. And if he does, that's going to make life a little easier during that game.
Yeah.
But my feeling is this: if if Saquon breaks that record, he's gonna break that record against his former team,
Yep.
the New York Football Giants. How
Ooh.
much is that going to stick in the craw of the owner of the New York Football Giants, who said on Hard Knocks, "I won't be able to sleep well at night if we lose Saquon"? Well, how well is he going to sleep at night in the offseason when he knows he let's say his GM lets Saquon go to the divisional opponent, and that his team was the team that Saquon broke Eric Dickerson's record on.
Right.
It's a storyline that you really can't write.
Yeah.
It's a storyline that I feel like when you want to see history, when you want to be a witness to history, like that's amazing. Not to mention, if would you guys not agree with this? Um, if he were to capture Dickerson's record, it would almost solidify his MVP. Mitch?
It would definitely help its case with MVP. My God, the last running back to win MVP wasn't it Adrian Peterson like a decade ago or something like
Yeah,
that?
and
So
I'm going to say another stat in a minute. James, what do you think? If he broke Dickerson's record, do you think it would solidify Saquon's MVP bid?
It's a very good question. I think it's I think so. Yeah, I would think like he could be like the odds-on favorite of winning that MVP. I think I mean, sure, Josh Allen's having himself a great season, but Saquon's just tearing it. Like, I mean, like somebody doing this for like with a new team, it's like complete. I mean, you want to talk about history making? I mean, he's make a real ton of history here this year. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would put him as the MVP if he breaks this record, Joe.
So let me explain. The Philadelphia Eagles have been around for a very long time.
yeah,
And there's only been one other player that has won the league MVP. It's been over 50 years
Hmm.
since a player for the Philadelphia Eagles has won league MVP. 50. Over 50 years. Saquon, if he gets Dickerson record, that he's going to gain a lot of hardware. The
Wow.
record's one, the MVP is another, and then the Super Bowl is another. And look,
yeah,
I get it. It's all wishful thinking, but if you look at the dominoes that I just set out on this table for us, we go and we get the number 1 seed. We're able to take a breath. We're up there in the top 3 of teams in the NFL, which means we got more than a fighter's chance at winning the Super Bowl.
yeah,
Saquon has a chance to win MVP and collect Eric Dickerson's record along the way.
Right.
A lot of these dominoes are starting to fall into place, that a lot of these things are more reality than fiction. So my feeling for everybody else is the next 3 weeks, you're going to see history. and you're going to see things that haven't been seen by Philadelphia. This is like the remnants of the 2017
me.
season, because James, you and I both know
Right.
that when we had that parade, people were in tears, not just because we won the championship, but because they've never seen that in this city.
I
It-
remember I remember that very closely. My dad could tell you about this too. That night when we won the Super Bowl, I never see my dad cry that much, and like it made me nostalgic, just to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
an Eagles team finally capturing their Limbo. I mean, it gives you goosebumps nowadays that the Eagles could win it again this year. It's like,
yeah.
it's like, I want to bring up that new norm stuff because that's a long story from another time. But this kind of feels like, maybe like maybe we were a little too late. Maybe we were a little too early to say about that new norm.
Premature.
But
Yeah.
but between me and you, I think if they could find a way, they're set for the next few years, Joe. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, they're just a very, very good team. I mean, a lot of people are saying this team is a good team. No, this team's a really good team. I mean, this team's fantastic. I wouldn't say great yet, unless they win a Super Bowl, but they're getting there, Joe. They definitely are.
Let me ask you guys this. Hold on.
Sure.
Let me ask you guys this. Is this team right now better than the 2017 Birds? Take the Super Bowl out of it. Is this team better than the 2017 Birds? Because I think yes.
I'll let James.
I agree. I you know what? You know something? Yeah, you know what? I agree. I think this team is a lot better. Like obviously that year we didn't expect anything from it. Obviously the Eagles, after a year that they won 9-7, I think, okay. I mean, they got the first. I mean, we were like underdogs back then, and obviously that whole with the underdog mask and all that. But there's no flaws to this team. I mean, even with that team that they had a mix of a controversy with Carson Wentz being as petty as he is with Nick Foles and all that controversy with that. But now right now, I think the Eagles are probably better than that Super Bowl team. And I think they'll be a lot better if they actually do capture it.
Yeah.
So this is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
This team is better than all three of the past Super Bowl appearance Eagles.
No doubt.
04, the 2017, the 2022. Why? Because they have a complete team. From defense to offense. This defense has surprised us. I think we have a secondary in this Eagles defense that we're going to see for years. And we are set. And that's one of the main reasons why I think, if there's a way, and Howie's the master at like working the numbers. If there's a way to hold on to as much of this team defensively as possible, Darius Slay's going to go. Brad Berry, who's been like in the Bahamas for the last 3 months,
he's on milk cartons everywhere.
It's fine. It's fine. Let that guy be on every milk carton forever. It's fine. Good riddance to bad fruit. Anyhow, so that's the thing is, you have those two major salaries coming off the books.
Right.
You have, I would think that they're looking to move Bryce Huff, move that money off the books.
Yep.
I think then you can then sign guys like Milton Williams and Zach Bond and extend Nakobe Dean. I think that matters. Like when it comes down to the future of what this team is, because that's the nucleus of this team, is you already have your secondary lined up. And and let's not forget, you have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. just waiting in the wings, chomping at the bit, waiting for that moment. And like, believe me, when that axe is grind and that axe is sharp enough, it's gonna drop and slice someone's head off.
Right.
Believe me when I tell you that.
Yep.
But like that's where I think this team far outweighs the 2017, the 2004, and the 2022. Because I think there's more nucleus going forward in this team.
I think the 2022 team will be I think the one thing I liked about that 2022 team was that Jalen Hurts like found a way to become more of a passer. I mean, everybody was talking about that all season long. I remember like going back to training camp, like looking at that, like Ben Simmons like trying to shoot like free throws and like and all that other stuff. Not to that extent, but like I mean, I was like thinking, okay,
Don't
he
go
looks
there,
good.
James.
I'm not gonna go there. I ain't gonna go there. Believe me, I'm
That's
not
an
gonna
old
go.
wound that you don't want.
No, but I wasn't going going that route. But it was just like every day was like glued to my head, just like glued to my head. Like okay, Jalen Hurts looks good one day. It's kind of like but then he actually did it in the game. I'm thinking, okay, now we could finally get ourselves a Super Bowl now. But that team, the one thing that flawed that team was just the defense was really like that defense couldn't stop any. Well, and then they stopped people here and there, but when it mattered the most, I mean, they just completely crapped the bed.
So before we preview this tomorrow's game with the Commanders, if you are still looking for tickets to go down to DC and watch the Eagles romp the Commanders, turn them into lieutenants versus Commanders, you can check out our great sponsor at ticketnetwork.com. James, why don't you tell the folks more about it?
Yeah, Joe, today's show is also sponsored by our friends over at TicketNetwork.com. TicketNetwork.com is a proud sponsor to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now you can score a touchdown on the road to victory with the best seats in our house with our friends over at TicketNetwork.com. Whether it's the best seats in the house or budget-friendly in between, Ticket Network has got you covered. But remember to scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen and secure your spot today with the best seats in the house. That is at ticketnetwork.com. Visit them online at ticketnetwork.com.
And you might be asking, well, Joe, I scanned the QR code, but then I have to search. No, you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to the Philadelphia Eagles tickets, and you will be able to book your seats today for tomorrow's game. And
Nice.
get the tailgate ready and get the barbecue loaded up with a couple whiskeys and whatnot. Anyhow.
Yeah. I mean, let me say about this too. I think I brought it up yesterday when I was doing like another like project of mine. Why does it feel like that we can never win the NFC East on our home turf? It always feels like we. I mean, going back years. I mean, the last time I realized that the Eagles could have captured their NFC East was I was like only like 13 years old at the time. Like you think about it, the Cowboys in 2013, right? 2017, Carson Wentz goes down, but that was against the Rams. 2019, that was against the Giants. 2022, 2022, that was the last game of the season, but that was just because like we couldn't like win. I mean, technically they should have won it against Dallas that week on Christmas Eve, but basically, I mean, it feels like we can never win the NFC East on our home turf. I don't get it, Joe. I don't get it, Mitch.
Here's my thing. So are you saying you want to throw the game tomorrow?
No. If you want to, no, I'm not saying that. I would rather have that feel like you know how the Phillies used to win back in the day when we celebrated and all that.
Yeah,
I want to have that same kind of feel again with the Eagles. I want to celebrate down Broad Street, and also, I mean, the NFC Championship games were great, like that the Eagles got there, and I went to 2 of them to see, like, and that was history in the making. But an NFC East crown, it's like I want to celebrate with the team too. I mean, it's just I just find that a little bit oblivious sometimes. But hey, look, if you win the division tomorrow, like Mazel Tov, you know, screw it.
Hey.
So Mitch, tell me what are you looking to see tomorrow in Maryland against the Commanders?
I'm looking for shutting down Terry McLaurin again because I love this secondary, dude. I love Quinyon Mitchell, not because it's my name, but I'm just saying. Love Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean.
You know, Mitch, we're gonna have to put like a cap on how many people you can claim. You're going with Mitch Koff, you're going with Quinyon Mitchell. Like, okay, dude, relax.
Dude, I was like that with Brian Mitchell too. It's like, hey, there's me. But
I should get you a Mitch Kofsky, Mitch Koff jersey. Mitch Koff jersey. Not a Mitch Koff jersey.
Please do.
Mitch Williams. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but Quinyon Mitchell,
Yeah.
he has a major case for defensive rookie of the year. I mean, this guy's been locking down your number one wide receivers week in and week out. Imagine him locking down Terry McLaurin again.
Oh my
So
God. Yeah.
I
Right.
am going with Quinyon Mitchell. That's the number one thing I'm looking forward to.
That's a
James, what
good.
about you?
That's very well said, Mitch.
Yeah.
Let's see. I gotta go with hmm. the- I would like to see Devontae Smith like come out of his shell a little bit tomorrow because
I
I
like
mean,
that.
sure. I mean, it's like AJ Brown looked very well, obviously, and Saquon's having himself a season, but this could be the game to. I mean, the last time Devontae Smith played against Washington, the last couple of times when like early on in the season, I mean, he looked actually very well. So I like to see the Slim Reaper like get some plays here tomorrow. Maybe a little bit here and there with Saquon and AJ, but I gotta go with Devontae tomorrow. That's gonna be my X factor.
So I'm going to pick a guy once again that's going to surprise you.
Okay.
So my X factor is going to be Cooper DeJean. I
Nice.
think that Cooper DeJean is going to be
Dijon.
he is going to be he's going to be all over that field, and he's going to be a nightmare. This guy's getting better by the week.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think we've seen the ceiling for Cooper DeJean yet. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. I think what we're going to see in the coming weeks are, I mean, his level keeps going up and up and up, and I keep going, okay, where's this guy's ceiling? Like, because I really haven't seen it, so I'm not entirely sure what that is. Between him and Blankenship, the exciting whites, it's interesting. Well, I mean, that's their
Hey, look.
nickname.
I mean, if
I put the shirt on that I'm selling for the exciting whites on Hardcore Sports Network
there you
Facebook
go.
page.
There you
So
go.
Yeah.
you guys could go check that out.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean, look, Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship, like, look, those two in my mind, I think are going to have a good game tomorrow, and I think they're my X factor. Bitch, give me your prediction for tomorrow's game. Your score prediction.
My score prediction, I got the Eagles winning 28-14. I feel like the
Woo!
defense can really make an impact like it has been week in and week out. And the way that the Zach Bond has been playing Cooper DeJean, I can name players just on the defensive side of the ball. And I have a hot take. If there was a defensive coordinator year award, you have to give it to Vic Fangio.
Oh
If
yeah.
there was an
Oh yeah.
award for that, Vic Fangio has flipped his defense from last year to this year. Like, we're becoming the more threatful defense, the more terrified defense like we were back in the 2000s with Dawkins and company.
Yeah,
So
man.
if if there was an award for that, Vic Fangio. So
I'm going to add on to that. So last year when we had Desai and Patricia, we
right.
didn't know what was going on. Neither did the defensive players. They didn't
Nope.
know what was going on. It was complete chaos. Everything was awry. Vic Fangio has this thing running like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
Everyone is bought in, and this is the difference. We always had the talent, but when you don't give, and I've said this before, when coaches don't give direction to players, coaches can ruin players far faster than players can ruin themselves.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The Vic Fangio can take players that have exceptional talent and make them look like they're better than they are, and that's where I think it's shining through. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Mitch. Like, look, Vic Fangio he's doing what we haven't seen in this city in quite some time. He's not going anywhere. Like, I'm
No.
locking Novacare. He ain't going nowhere. We ain't losing him.
He's not
Um,
going anywhere. He
no,
even said this is just like he said this is like this is where we wanted to be all along. So that's all that matters.
James, what's your score prediction for tomorrow's game?
Hmm. Uh. I gotta go. I want to say, you know how much of like I would say like this 31 bug the last couple times we've been on, like talking about the
Yeah.
Panthers and obviously with the Steelers, but I got the Eagles winning it tomorrow, but I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I mean, Jay and Daniels is going to have some like going to get us like his passes and all that other stuff, but I don't see the Eagles losing this game at all. So I got the Eagles winning tomorrow, 27-14 Birds.
Okay. Well, both you guys are around in lockstep, kind of in that way, and I think I'm
I
gonna.
mean, it's not like I mean, like usually the Washington games are close because I sometimes like it's a rarity that they blow out Washington. Even times when they were great. I mean, the only time I can remember they blew out Washington was like probably the body bag game.
Here's the thing that kind of that's not being widely discussed, but it should be.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about the Eagles and some of the good teams they've played, like playoff contending teams that they've played,
Yep.
Baltimore,
Right.
Steelers, Bengals. No, they're not in the playoffs, Bengals, but they're still a quality team with Joe Burrow. The Eagles have handled them like
They have.
defensively. They have like sometimes the games look closer than they are, but they've handled their business.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is the Commanders, it's going to be much the same.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way as you guys, although I'm probably going to go a little bit more exaggerated. I'm going to go 35-14 Eagles.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
this game is going to be where Saquon and Jalen Hurts put on an offensive show. I think the defense is going to stymie Jaden McDaniels because, look, I think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. I think
Yeah.
he's a bright young star. I just think you're about to run into the gauntlet that is the Vic Fangio defense, which Mitch just highlighted a couple minutes ago. Listen, you could be a bright star, but you could get snuffed out real quick with this defense. Russ Wilson knows that. Lamar Jackson knows that. All these good quarterbacks that feel like they have a chance to make their name on this defense, they know it that they can't. So that's going to be a big, big testament. The Eagles defense sticks to that under that 16-point window that Vic Fangio puts on that chalkboard each and every week. They're going to stay underneath that point limit, and it's going to be 35-14 Eagles. And the Eagles are going to look like, and they're going to clinch the NFC East, but they're more or less, they're going to look stronger than they ever have before because they're going to go against the Cowgirls and the Giants for the final two games. And that's where I think Saquon is going to go off and capture that record.
To allude to your point, the reason why I said 27, I mean, like the last couple games, obviously, they haven't like blown out teams like that because like the way they win games is like very methodical and also very like when they beat you, like they run the clock out like they did last week and all that. And like if they get 35 points on that Washington team, that would be very, very like that would be really good going into the next couple weeks.
Keep something in mind. In order to run the clock out,
right,
the defense has to stop, like not stop the offensive player from like the first down, just stop them from scoring a touchdown.
Right.
So if Saquon breaks one or two, that's going to make a difference. That's going to break the Commanders' back. Look, you have Bobby Wagner and Fowler that are on that defense. You have some older guys that are on that defense. Their AARP legs might not be able to keep up with guys like Saquon and whatnot. Their bones might crumble at the impact that Saquon might have on their bodies. So you never know. But with the holiday season fast approaching, we're going to shift gears because the end of the year is coming. Now, this show will be the last show of 2025. We're going to take 2 weeks off.
2024, Joe. I mean,
I'm already jumping the gun. I'm already jumping the gun. You see
Hey,
what's
look, in
happening here?
2025 next year, if we're Super Bowl champions and trying to repeat, then
Yeah.
Yeah, then we'll be like, okay.
you know,
So, the end of 2024.
Yep.
This will be the last show for 2024. So what we're taking 2 weeks off for the holiday season and whatnot, and we want to wish everybody out there happy and safe holidays. Please, no drinking and driving, Uber and Lyft your way through the holiday season.
and Dallas sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that goes without saying. It almost kind of takes a little fervor away now because they suck so bad.
I know.
Saying Dallas sucks, it's like I feel bad.
I know it's but like you always said it's a go Birds, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays until all Dallas sucks.
Yes. But
I get that from somebody else, but that's another story.
We're gonna do a little year in review with the Philly sports scene. So Mitch, I'm going to start with you. What is your highlights of 2024 of the Phillies? Like what of any of the Philadelphia sports teams? What was your biggest highlight of the 2024 year?
Well, it's not the Sixers. I can tell you that right now. It's not the Sixers. So I can throw that out there.
Did they have one at all this year?
I mean, if you want me to be technical and go into that route, we'll be here all day. But no, you know what? I gotta claim myself again, Mitch Kofsky. I gotta go Mitch Kofsky for the Flyers.
There you go.
This guy has been unbelievable. Like I don't watch the games; I only catch the highlights, and what this guy's been doing is just
incredible,
amazing. It's just truly, truly amazing. So that's one. And two, I gotta go with the Eagles, man, just for this whole season because starting the season 2-2 before the bye, then a 10-game winning streak. You don't see that. You never see that. Yeah. So those are my two highlights.
Nice, very, very, very cool.
So James, what's the highlight for you in Philly sports this year?
It's a very good question because I mean, obviously it's not the Sixers. Let's not get. Let's like Mitch even put it up. It's not the Sixers. For me, it's I got to go with John Tortorella on this one. I think John Tortorella making this team, this Flyers team, relevant again. And Mitch Kofsky has been fantastic. I completely agree, 100%. But the Eagles, I think, is going to be the one I have to go with because the Eagles, like 2-2, like even Mitch brought it up, and then go on a 10-game winning streak. That's pretty amazing. And there's not a lot to like look back at 2024. To say that it was. I mean, the Phillies. I mean, they got the NL East, but the Mets just got in the way. So I got to go with the Eagles. With their 10-game winning streak, obviously.
Well, I'm going to stick up for the 76ers. I'm going to pick the 76ers as my highlight of the year.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So,
dude, don't tell me that.
My highlight of the year is going to be Tyrese Maxey taking the next step as a superstar and dropping 50 points in a playoff game. This kid.
Oh yeah,
as long as you get the anchor off of his neck, that is Joel Embiid. This kid is going to thrive as a star in the NBA. So my highlight of the year in Philly sports is the 50 bomb by Tyrese Maxey in the NBA playoffs.
Wait a second, guys. Are we just gonna jump over, like, instead of the Sixers and the Phillies and the Flyers and the Eagles, we should just say thank you, Giants, for giving us Saquon Barkley. I mean, you know, I mean, it's that wins. That's the definitely win.
James, don't jump the gun. There's a question later that's going to highlight that. Don't jump the gun. We'll get there. Don't get all rambunctious on.
And then I have another one. Since you want to say Tyrese Maxey, I have to go with my guy Jared McCain, man. My guy, Jared McCain, I've been a fan of this kid ever since high school. I've been watching all of his tapes or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Here's the bad part of it, though. He's got the best heart and mindset. of the team. That is sad.
Yeah, Nick even brought up, so I'm surprised you didn't say Jarek McCain, Mitch.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick, man. That's my guy. But
Yeah, that's cool, man.
yeah, I'm going with Jerry McCain for
So
another one.
That's the highlight of the year. Let's go to the low light of the. What's up, James?
No. I was just thinking if I got one more, but I think I'm drawing a blank. So go ahead, Joe.
So let's go to the low light of the year. What was the worst mistake in Philadelphia sports this year?
Oh boy.
I got one. Daryl Morey.
What's
Daryl
that?
Morey. Daryl Morey. The Sixers.
Oh, yeah.
Anything involving the Sixers? Daryl Morey.
You want to be any more specific than Daryl Morey?
Just like every movie he's been making. Oh, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Caleb Martin. If you want me to spend this whole time on the Sixers, we can.
Fair point.
Fair. That's fair.
James, worst faux pas of the Philadelphia sports scene this year?
You know, I don't want to bring up the Phillies, but I have to do it on this one. It's not anything they're doing in the offseason. It's that documentary that did for Trey Turner. I mean, are you kidding me with that?
Right.
I mean, it's like, seriously. I mean, look, I understand he was having a bad season, but you had to do a documentary on Trey Turner's struggles. I mean, what was that? I mean, I never even watched it. And adding insult to injury, they actually showed it 2 days after they lost the NLDS to the Mets, and I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, no one wants to care about it, and that with the wound is too fresh.
I mean, seriously.
I'd rather watch some Mike Schmidt documentary.
I'll tell you what, dude. I didn't see it yet, but I heard it's really good.
It's really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I've seen bits and parts of it, but it's really good from what I've seen. But my biggest faux pas of the Philadelphia sports team this year.
Yeah, Nick said it was less about Trey Turner and more about the Philly captain. I guess whoever. I don't know who that. I heard of his name, but I'm not too. I don't know much about his stuff. I thought it was Jack Fritz that was the origin of that.
It was Jack Fritz that set the thing in motion for the standing O.
And also he did an Eagles chant one time, like just a random Eagles chant, and Larry Anderson ripped him a new one. LA ripped him a new one. He's like, who's this guy that did the Eagles chant in front of the Eagles? And says, I don't know, some guy named Jack Fritz.
So my Philadelphia sports faux pas this year, it kind of goes even more specific to Mitch. I have to go to the Joel Embiid contract extension. Now look, I've been on this program, James, and I have been the Joel Embiid flag
apologist.
Oh yeah, you can call me whatever you want. That's fine, fair. But I'm done. I'm done with the guy. I am done with the guy. The guy is a quitter. I'm sorry, but he is.
He is.
I can't tolerate a person with that much talent. And I get what Frank Finnegan has said in the past about it's not him as much as it's the organization. I don't completely disagree with that, but look, a player has to have their mindset on what they have to do. Tyrese Maxey goes out there regardless of that organization and still busts his ass. Why can't you? Nah. I don't care if your face is broken. I don't care if your knees are busted. Dude, Allen Iverson went out there with a half-broken body every freaking night and
played. His back in Game 7 of that Toronto Raptors series. He actually hurt his back, and he still was able to play the game.
Right. That's my point, is you cannot use the excuse of I'm hurt as a Philadelphia athlete to say I'm just not going to play or I'm going to give up. Bryce Harper got...
For who, for what?
Bryce Harper came back from Tommy John surgery quicker than anybody else. Bryce Harper got hit in the face with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. This is a guy, that's toughness. I'm sorry, you sit here crying over, all these injuries that it doesn't stop you from running up and down the court. It doesn't stop you from tossing a ball into a basket. So, dude, I'm done with the excuses. I'm done with your excuses. I hope that for whatever it's worth, we find a trade partner that sends you somewhere where you will go into obscurity like Ben Simmons.
Ooh,
I hope for all it's worth, you never receive the accolades you probably deserved a couple years ago, but you don't now.
you know, Joe. I mean, I know you a long time. I know how much you were a Ben Simmons supporter, and especially Joel Embiid. Every time, once you're done with somebody, I'm right there with you. Like I'm done with you. You know.
So, James, this is what I meant by hold your horses. So, who is the dumbass of the year
Oh
in
God.
Philly sports?
Oh God, man. I
Mitch,
mean,
I'll start with you.
I'll let you go first,
If you
Mitch.
can narrow it down to one.
Mine is like a collective. It's like I'm just gonna nail it. It's the Jalen Hurts haters right now.
Yeah.
That's who I have
Ooh.
to go with right now. I'm not gonna pick someone directly out of media. If it's the Giants, Cowboys, Jerry Jones, I'm not going all there. I'm just picking the Jalen Hurts haters right now because right now he's doing
Mike
everything.
Gaskin. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there you go.
I'm
There you go.
sorry.
So
Sorry.
if you want me to
Yeah,
throw a
right.
name, there's a name.
Sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, he's been doing everything he's been asked to do. For me personally, just don't hold on to the ball too long. We already talked about that. But for me, it's the Jalen Hurts haters. That's the
Right.
number one thing for me. And I'm
Yeah.
still on the fence about haters.
Yeah,
James?
Nick checks in and says, Nick Nurse is the dumbass, no question about it. Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon are on the court together. Should never happen again, yet it does
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
freaking game. He's right about
Yeah.
that.
James, who's your dumbass of the year?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know how I can. I thought I was going to say Joel Embiid, but I got to go with Joel Embiid, because of how much he's been like games he plays and there's games that he don't play. It's kind of like a straight up like this. I mean, it is a disaster. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Embiid's just been complete dumbass. He's been the complete dumbass of the year for going back to when this happened. I mean, this is probably like dumbass of the year for the last several years, going back to when he was like. I mean, I don't even know, man. I'm at the point now. I'm really tired of him. I'm just really tired of him. I don't. I mean, everybody was so happy that he came back last night and he looked well. I don't give a bleep about that. Okay, I don't care. Okay, I just don't care. Somebody tell me, "Oh, Joel Embiid looks good here," and he's like, "It's going to be back to normal." And then next thing you know, we'll be back in the second. We'll be suffering another second round accident again because he can't stay freaking healthy.
Well,
So
no,
yeah, he's my dumbass of the year.
he looks good last night, sure.
Yeah, he looks.
Guess
It looks
what?
good on you though.
But guess what? He'll take 2 weeks off, and
Right.
then you'll see him again. It's like the bat signal.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
man going to show up? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
is it the Ben Affleck Batman or is it the old decrepit Michael Keaton
I
Batman?
think it's
I don't know.
I think it's the Affleck duck, and instead of Gap, it's just it's the
So
Affleck.
my dumbass of the year is a collective as well, and this might surprise some people.
Sure.
The 2024 Philadelphia Phillies.
Yes.
They're the
Yeah, that's a good
dumbass
point.
of the year because if you go and you lose to the garbage New York Mets, oh my God. But I have to add a dumbass, but that is not from Philly sports, and that is the Giants general manager. You should have been fired on the spot when
Yep.
Saquon signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. You should have been fired on the spot the minute that hard knocks episode aired. You should
Yeah.
have been fired on the spot when you signed Daniel Jones to an extension and then months later cut him.
Yeah.
So my dumbass of the year is the Philadelphia Phillies 2024 team for the Philadelphia sports scene, but in the national sports scene, my dumbass of the year is the New York Mets general manager.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll give you one more. It's basically the city of New York making Philadelphia are basically trying to make sure, like all the time with the Knicks fans coming to the Wells Fargo Center, or even the Rangers fans coming to Wells Fargo
Yeah.
Center, it's like This is your home base. And here's the other thing, too. I'll take a dumbass of the day, too, because I got a bone to pick with Josh Harris on this part. Getting a new arena, and it's unbelievably unfallible to say somebody would do this something would do like this. But Josh Harris, I'll tell you this right now. If you think this is going to work, it's not going to work because it's going to come back and bite you right in the ass because it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful to think that the city actually likes this idea, and I hear some people actually like this idea, and I find it's absolutely 100% garbage. I mean, like, I know that you wanted to get a new arena and all that, but this is not the place to go. I mean, you think about it, it's going to be a complete disaster in 10 years from now. And I'm not going to be laughing about it. I should be and say, you know what, this is going to come back and bite him. But I hope it bites not Daryl Morey, but Josh Harris right where it hurts the most because he's my dumbass of the year too. The whole 76ers team is the whole effing show is like the dumbass of the year of the 76ers going to admit.
So let's ask now moving forward.
Yeah.
Coming into the new 2025
Happy New Year, everybody.
year. The new 2025 year. What is your New Year's resolution for the Philadelphia sports scene in 2025? Mitch, I'll start with you.
Create Embiid.
Oh, there you go. Now you're talking.
Oh, dude, do not even get me started.
I know, dude.
Create Embiid is one. Get rid of Kyle. I'm not picking apart the whole Sixers right now. We already did that.
Yeah, you could.
I got one. Can we get a new kicker? Like, what is going on with Jake Elliott right now? Like, I'm serious, guys.
Wow.
What is going on with Jake Elliott right now?
Jake Elliott's catching strays. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. I get it.
He really is Jake the Snake. Oh my god.
To be fair,
I love
Mitch,
that.
To be fair, he didn't make his field goals past Sunday. To be fair, so and look, I am not one to throw the kicker under the bus because kickers aren't even real football players. Like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They barely get touched. They kick a ball. Like it's just unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
But James, what's your New Year's resolution for the Philadelphia sports scene going forward in 2025?
Well, this is something I look forward to hearing myself say. Eagles Super Bowl will be February, so that'll be right around my birthday. Flyers get into the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in a long time, and actually went around for the first time since 2012. And let's say if the Flyers do go far, Matvei Michkov is going to take them the distance. I mean, they're not going to win a Stanley Cup or anything, but I think if the Flyers find a way to get back to the postseason, then the Eagles winning a Super Bowl is my New Year's resolution.
I'll try my best.
I got no words for you, Mitch. Like I got no words.
Well,
and that's hard to do. Let me explain. That is hard to do.
And hopefully the Phillies get their act together too. So that's that's another thing too.
My New Year's resolution is kind of really simple. I try to conquer the first thing in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to have another parade right outside my door. I want to be able to toast the idea that Jalen Hurts puts all the haters to bed, because guess what? All of that goes away once he has a championship. All of that talk of what he's able to do and what he's not able to do goes away, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Saquon ran for 150 yards in the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if the defense shuts the other team down. It doesn't matter what other excuses you guys want to give. If Jalen Hurts wins a Super Bowl ring and leads this team to it, he's still a Super Bowl champion. Just like how everyone's like, oh, the tush push is not a real touchdown. Last time I checked, it counts for 6.
It counts for 6, don't it?
6 just as much as any other touchdown. So no. We're not going to discount, double check Jalen Hurts. We're going to make sure that I explain to everyone if Jalen Hurts in the new year wins the Super Bowl, he will be the reason why we do it. And
Mhm.
all the talk about the doubters and the question marks, all those go away. Now, if you want to get your hands on a piece of history, if you want to get your hands on a Super Bowl autographed piece of memorabilia, you could check out our great sponsors at sportsmemorabilia.com. James, tell them more about it.
Yeah, today's show is also sponsored by our friends over at sportsmemorabilia.com. Sportsmemorabilia.com is authentic, certified, and genuine because right now you can get your fix on with the most iconic memorabilia from all your iconic players, from your Philly sports teams, players, unforgettable moments, and so much more at sportsmemorabilia.com. Don't forget to scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen and add to your collection this holiday season, just a few days away, or visit them online at sportsmemorabilia.com. That's at sportsmemorabilia.com.
Now, speaking of your cohort, Mitch, I put on my little Santa's list for my wife. It's a Mitch Koff. If you scan that QR, it's a autographed puck by Mitch Koff.
Ooh.
Nice.
So I'm like,
Yeah, my hand's been hurting by signing so many stuff. It's a workout, man. It's a workout. I'm sorry.
so we're moving on.
Moving on, man.
The next question, I'm waiting for Mitch to take this too. So, who is the MVP of the Philadelphia sports scene in 2024? And
Ooh.
it's not the Mitch valuable player; it's the most valuable player.
The Mitch player. Oh my god.
My God. There's so many players I can go with. So
I have a feeling I know where you're going.
no, you don't. I don't think you do.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you do.
Okay.
It comes down to two. I'm gonna go with Jerry McCain, and this is why. Jerry McCain, in most difficult circumstances, has stepped up to the occasion. He has risen. He was number one in the rankings for Rookie of the Year, dropping 16 points per game. And with everyone getting injured left and right, McCain showed everyone, like, this is his team. I'm here for the future. Let's keep it going. So I'm going to go with Jerry McCain for mine.
There you go.
James, who's your MVP of the
See, I didn't go with
2024?
myself.
You know, is it too late to say Mitch Kofsky is my MVP?
I knew that one of you was going to say it. I knew. I thought it
wasn't me.
I know.
I was gonna go with Quinny on Mitchell, but I didn't go that out.
I could have put that on a tee, and you guys could have both golfed Mitch Koff out of the park. Like, I'm like, okay, which one's gonna take it?
This is what's gonna take it, right? No, but all joking aside, I gotta go with you know what? I gotta go with Vic Fangio as my MVP, even though he's not a player, but he's one guy that really turned the tide on me. I mean, early on I was skeptical, but I'll tell you what, this defense is dominant, man. They're so authentic, they're so methodical. Even the offense has looked fantastic as well. So for me, Vic Fangio, Vicky Walnuts, or whatever you want to call it, Vicky from 10th Street or something. I mean, Vic's been doing a lot of good stuff here, man. And I gotta tell you what, I gotta say I'm very, very impressed by him.
I'm glad he's my coach.
Yeah, right.
The gabagool kind of thing.
The gabagool of South Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with something that's also going to be a little surprising as my MVP. I'm going to go with Nick Sirianni.
There you go.
I think Nick Sirianni, as much grief as he's gotten in this city, from the 2-2 start to the collapse of last year, to the the fact that people were calling for his head on a plate.
Yeah,
this is a guy that's going to go into his fourth straight playoff appearance as a young coach. I mean, this is a guy who's not much older than me. And so it's amazing because this, in my mind, and people are going to rip me a new one for saying this because it's sacrilege to say this, but not really.
Hmm.
Um, he's the new Andy Reid.
Hmm.
He's the new Andy Reid of this era. He's going to lead the Eagles to success year in and year out. Every year that we knew we were going to make the playoffs under Andy for the most part, that's going to be what Nick Sirianni's quota is going to be. We're going to make the playoffs, we're going to get into the tournament, and we're going to make noise. We're going to do whatever we have to do. Will it always be pretty? No, but it was never always pretty with Andy either. We
Hmm.
always criticize Andy for wasting his timeouts and the lack of time management and his aggressiveness and all of that. We're going to criticize Nick for much of the same things: time management, decision making, maybe being overly aggressive. Like, there is going to be a perspective where, you know, he's going to be highly scrutinized. But I think Nick Sirianni, without a doubt, you have anybody else as a head coach in this team, I don't think they do it as well as
Hmm.
Nick. I just don't. I think
Right.
his messaging is never lost. I think people believe in, like, every player I've heard being interviewed raves about we're doing it for coach. Like,
Hmm.
we're doing it for Nick. And that's reminiscent of Andy. That's reminiscent of like a Dick Vermeil. That,
Right.
like, some of the great head coaches that we've had in this franchise, we may be looking at Nick and going, okay, but he's a kind of a lunatic. He yells at the crowd. He does all that. Okay. You tell me how you would react if you were put in on the sidelines of the Philadelphia Eagles as the head coach and you were fired up. Look, James gets fired up too. I could get him fired up and he could start barking and yelling and all of that. That doesn't make James a lunatic. That just makes
No.
him a passionate person. Like, this
It's
is why.
normal. It's called the best. Here's the other thing too. Like, everybody has to look at it too. If you're having success, like, everybody will talk about you and have some great things about you. But if you don't have success, you're gonna hear about it. I mean, the one thing I took Nick Sirianni's word after that confrontation he had with the fans and all that. After that, he started to change the team around. He started to change the season around. After
And
that.
look, this is a guy, whether you like him or hate him, and it go back to the Jalen Hurts thing. When you have guys that are on this team that just win, does it matter? Because in the end, where I started the show is where I'll end the show. In the end, the only way you raise that Lombardi trophy is if you win the Super Bowl. So if you have a coach that's good at winning, if you have a quarterback that's good at leading a team to win, and if you have talent around them like a Saquon, an AJ, a Devontae, a defense, a Vic Fangio, guys like that, that's a recipe for success. Even if it happens or it doesn't matter. You're giving yourself a recipe to possibly succeed in this town.
Yep.
And that's all we need is hope. And so I think this this town needs to keep that hope alive and keep that hope grounded in the idea that we have winners on this team. And that's better than what we've had in the past. I'll say that. Kevin Cobb, Mike McMahon,
No.
guys like that,
Oh my
like,
God.
we don't want to go back to that.
No. No
So
way. No
so
way.
let's keep in mind and be gracious this holiday season that in our stocking stuffers we have Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And let's hope that in the coming new year we can crown a new Super Bowl champion in the Philadelphia Eagles and have a parade down Broad Street. But for right now, we're going to wrap up the show for 2024. We're going to wrap up for the holiday season. And I want to say to everyone watching and everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being on this journey with us. I wish everybody out there a happy and safe holiday season. Mitch, I want to give a special thank you to you and your network for Hardcore Sports Network for welcoming us in with open arms and
Yeah.
everything. And I wish you happy holidays, happy and safe holiday season.
Merry
Um,
Christmas, buddy.
Happy Hanukkah.
I'm sorry. I'm happy Hanukkah.
It's all good. It's all good.
Hey,
It's all good, dude.
L'chaim. My wife is Jewish too.
That's
so
my
let-
Jewish. That's my Hebrew name. L'chaim.
Oh, there you go.
You just take everything, don't you? You just take everything. You just take everything.
That's
Hey,
not my fault.
make
I
a
wasn't
list.
born-
Make a list, dude. Make a list and then stick to it.
Cornell
I
Mitchell.
swear to God,
I go on.
Mitch
I
Cobb and all.
swear, I swear
Yeah.
to God, if the Eagles or any other sports team drafts anyone with the first name Mitch or the last name Mitchell or anything in between, please let me know because I'm not going to hear the end of it from this guy. Jesus Christmas.
You ready for this? What about Freddie Mitchell?
Oh my God.
You can have him.
I
Yeah,
was there at 4th and 26. I was there.
Wait,
So
oh,
I'm
there
like,
you go.
I'll
There you
take
go.
that. I'll take that one.
Hey, we've we've had the pleasure with EOP and everything of
Yeah.
having Freddie Mitchell on air, and
Oh.
let me explain. This is a guy. He's a nice enough guy, but the guy thinks he's like,
Knows it all.
well, no, he thinks he's Jerry Rice incarnated, and I'm like, okay, like you caught one big pass. Let's relax. Like, let's not put the belt on you quite yet, buddy. Like relax. But like I, it's just amazing. But yeah, for Mitch Kofsky, thank you. Happy holidays to you in the new
Happy
year.
holidays, buddy.
Hopefully, there
thank
won't
you.
be another Mitch that gets signed by the Phillies by the new year.
Yeah.
and-
Shout out to Streampunk. Shout out to
Yeah.
the guys over at
Yes, sir.
Steampunk as well.
Yes.
I'd go on and on with those guys, man. But yeah, shout out to them. Seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy holidays to them. Speaking of Stream Punk, you can join me and James Scores it later on
Yes, sir.
for the Flyers post game third line John Flyers post game show where we're gonna break down who the Flyers playing today.
They play Columbus. It's the last game, actually, for the Flyers at the Wells Fargo Center of 2024, too.
Okay. So let's hope they can bounce back from the drubbing that they took in
There it is.
against LA.
Oh, there you go. Quinton Mitchell. Oh my God, that's great. That's
my
amazing.
guy Bobby, man. Shout out to Bobby.
Cool, man. Cool.
But well, you heard of what Quinton Mitchell's new nickname is, right?
What?
Oh yeah, Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
He's the new Revis Island, and
Yeah.
I like it.
Right. Right.
But for James Scores and my brother, like I will see you later on tonight. But I want to wish you and your family a happy holidays.
You
Happy
too, my
and safe
brother.
Holidays. For everyone listening, once again, have a happy holidays. I'm Joe Marks. This is the Pattison Ave Sports Show. That's Mitch Kofsky. That's James Scores. We are out. Have a happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody.